Pistols put holes in people. Rifles put holes through people. Shotguns at the right range with the right load will physically remove a chunk of shit off your opponent and throw that shit on the floor.
Welcome to the show. My name is Ethan Blake. I'm a licensed private investigator and author of horror occult novel Into the Hollow. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by purchasing a copy of my book by clicking the link down in the description box below. If you like the show, please consider subscribing to the channel and molesting the like button. Welcome back. Episode 10 Into the Hollow radio show. I'm your host Ethan Blake, and thank you so much for tuning back in. Today, I want to talk to you about 3 types of weapons to use during the zombie apocalypse. First off, this is not a comprehensive list of firearms capable of slaughtering the undead. Otherwise, the list would go on and on forever. Nor is this a 3-gun setup. That would be a completely different video and would include a combination of a pistol, shotgun, and a rifle. This is simply a top 3 list of the most functional, versatile, and easily acquired types of firearms that my friends and I personally have access to. Each will represent a different philosophy. Brand names and model numbers are not necessarily the focus of this video, although quality and reliability are paramount. It's more important to choose a firearm with similar features and qualities that will serve you well in your specific environment. It's also important to remember that this is a totally fictional scenario and I'm an idiot. Number 1, an AR-15 variant. My friend Jeremy is running a Ruger 5.56 with a SIG Romeo 5 red dot, backup iron sights, a Crimson Trace green laser, a Wubin weapon light, a Magpul sling, and a Magpul furniture including an adjustable stock. Jeremy also went on to free float his barrel, shaving down the A-frame sight that was attached to the gas block. The AR-15 is America's do-all rifle. Depending on factors like barrel length and ammunition, you could really reach out and touch someone or effectively clear a potentially hostile structure. At the end of the day, it is an intermediate cartridge and you're not going to be out shooting a .338 Lapua Magnum, but in a zombie apocalypse, long-range shooting probably won't be necessary for survival, at least not against the infected. The main advantages include modularity. You can set it up with all the bells and whistles you like, as long as you accept the added weight penalty. Excellent versatility and the ability to use .223 and 5.56 NATO ammunition means you have more food to feed the machine when scavenging for brass. Collapsible stocks are a plus when utilizing vests, and the control group of an AR platform is almost universally loved and extremely intuitive. Not to mention the ammo is relatively light, so you should be able to carry plenty of firepower for a day's work. The main disadvantages include The use of an intermediate cartridge, although not impossible, your rifle will be less likely to take down large predators like bears should you encounter them. All in all, you'll lack the legendary boomer stopping power. If we're playing by the general rules of the zombie apocalypse, poking holes in an infected person won't stop them from fucking you up. You'll have to make your headshots count. It shouldn't be a problem if you're working with a good pair of backup irons and a reliable red dot. I don't know if I'd necessarily choose a magnified optic, but it's your body, your choice. Some AR builds are heavier than others, so be careful how you build your rifle. Disclaimer, the AR variant is a practical choice for America, but would most certainly have to be changed to an AK platform in places like Russia. Number 2. A reliable 12-gauge tactical shotgun. I run the semi-automatic Benelli M1014 with an S-Tac side saddle to keep extra shells on board, an Olight Balder Pro laser light combo, Vickers combat application sling, and of course the iconic Benelli collapsible stock, excellent for adjusting the length of pull to compensate for body armor should I feel the need to wear it during the apocalypse. For optics, I'm running the Bushnell Advanced Reflex Sight with Ghost Ring irons and tritium inserts. Internal upgrades include a GG&G follower, Carlson magazine spring and tube extension, and the Freedom Fighter tactical trigger and spring pack. Of course, a shotgun is important to run as part of a system. Since it's extremely rounds limited, it's crucial to find ways to carry more ammunition on your person that's easily accessible yet secure. Competition shell carriers are fast but ultimately not secure. I use a leather and canvas belt made by Turban Classic Outdoors Gear. It holds an extra 25 rounds on my waist. It's comfortable and secure and doesn't get in the way of body armor or cross-draw vests. This is a reasonable compromise between speed and security. The main advantages of a reliable tactical shotgun are the versatility of the platform and the sheer destructive capability when using the appropriate ammunition for the task at hand. You may be able to immobilize an undead threat even if you don't get the perfect headshot. A bonus advantage is the plentiful availability of 12-gauge ammunition. Since the shotgun platform is so versatile, this will greatly increase your odds of scavenging ammunition that will function in your weapon. We're talking all the variations of birdshot, buckshot, slugs, specialty ammo like Dragon's Breath, 2 3/4 inch and 3-inch magnum length shot shells. With the right loads, you can breach doors, hunt birds, hunt big game, protect yourself from zombies, hostile people, and the frickin' bears. As the legendary Clint Smith said, pistols put holes in people, rifles put holes through people. Shotguns at the right range with the right load will physically remove a chunk of shit off your opponent and throw that shit on the floor. In my experience, the main disadvantages of a shotgun come down to the weight of the ammunition and the firearm, capacity, slow reload speeds, and range. Although the range aspect probably won't be a factor in the apocalypse, since most people will avoid confrontations with the infected whenever possible. It's unlikely you'll need to engage them past 100 to 150 yards, but it's still worth mentioning. However, there's no sugarcoating the hefty weight of the ammunition and the weapon platform. Not to mention that slow reload. Although philosophies differ on the importance of reload speed, there's still the possibility that a swarm of infected could kill you if you're fumbling around with shot shells. It's best to take cover during the reload process. If you're planning on staying mobile and not using a vehicle, you'll probably want to opt for a different weapon platform. A shotgun is more suited for securing a fixed base of operations or being implemented as part of a team of other weapons during room clearing operations or similar situations. In my opinion, an ideal mobile team or patrol would include a tactical shotgun and at least one AR variant rifle. An added warning, if you are scavenging shot shells, it might be best to run a pump-action tactical shotgun. Since you control the action, you are less likely to run into jams. In my experience, the one consistent exception to the rule is the Benelli M1014 M4 line of semi-automatics. Unlike other semi-autos, this line runs off of a dual-piston gas system instead of inertia or recoil. This is why I purchased my M1014. Number 3. A good .22 LR rifle. I personally run the Smith & Wesson M&P 1522. It's an AR-style .22 rifle that's light and has all the controls you're familiar with on an AR platform, namely the safety, pistol grip, and collapsible stock. I run a Sightmark laser and QD red dot with co-witnessed flip-up Magpul iron sights. I have a single-point Smith & Wesson sling, but I don't like it very much. This is an admitted flaw in my current configuration, as well as the fact that I don't have a light. If you run this weapon in a system like I have on my Condor cross-draw vest, shout out to Nuttin' Fancy, you can easily hold 100 rounds in magazines ready to go. There's plenty of room for more magazine pouches through the use of molly-webbing, plus a holster for your handgun of your choice. The absolute main advantage of the .22 LR is the ability to travel long distances with thousands of rounds of ammo on your person due to the light weight of the weapon and the ammunition. A bonus advantage is that you'll probably come across even more ammo while scavenging neighborhoods and superstores. The main disadvantages of carrying a .22 LR during the apocalypse is, of course, the relatively anemic nature of the round itself and the inherent reliability issues that come with rim-fired cartridges. You'll have to be a skilled marksman and make your shots count if you're relying on .22 to save your life. And be prepared for the occasional dud, misfire, failure to eject, or failure to feed. It happens. At the end of the day, you have to use what you have, and there's an endless amount of factors to take into account. How long will the world be without rule of law, power, basic infrastructure, bartering, etc.? How available are replacement parts for your weapons? Additional questions to ask yourself: are you fortifying and defending your home? Are you fleeing your home? If you're fleeing, are you on foot or vehicle patrol? How far will you have to travel for food and water if your immediate supply runs dry? Again, on foot or in a vehicle? Don't think for one moment that a man or a woman using an old school 45-70 lever rifle is automatically doomed. Your mind and your skill sets are your most important weapons. As the saying goes, beware the man with one gun, because he surely knows how to use it. I think the single most important accessory for your zombie gun is a good sling or a holster. It's the apocalypse after all. And you're going to have to grow your own food, build things, cook, clean, and do lots of manual labor. How are you going to hold on to your gun? Your weapon is useless if you don't have it when you need it. Alright guys, that's it for our zombie apocalypse episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What weapon would you choose? And be realistic, what do you have around you? Because that's what you would be using if the zombie apocalypse happened. I do also want to thank everyone who's listened to the first 9 episodes of the radio show. You've helped me get to this 10th episode. I really appreciate it. And if you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and you can purchase a copy of my book, Into the Hollow, in the description box below. It really helps out, and I just want to say thank you.
What? Huh? What, it was just a dream? Oh, thank God. I thought I was using a shitty bullpup. What a fucking nightmare. Oh, and there were zombies too. Ew. Wait a minute. What the fuck?
Welcome to the show. My name is Ethan Blake. I'm a licensed private investigator and author of horror occult novel Into the Hollow. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by purchasing a copy of my book by clicking the link down in the description box below. If you like the show, please consider subscribing to the channel and molesting the like button. Into the Hollow, Zombies Ate My Radio Show, episode 18 in our countdown to Halloween. I'm your host Ethan Blake and thank you so much for tuning back in. Tonight, zombies have invaded our radio show, and no matter how much we keep kicking their asses, they demand to be the center of attention on this All Hallows Eve. So warm up your smoke machines, send the kids off to trick or treat, relax, prop up your feet, and get ready to slay zombies this Halloween. Some of you may recall in late August, I did episode 10, ZombieApocalypse Weapons. In it, I focused on 3 types of specific modern firearms with a list of accessories that I felt were essential additions to an effective zombie apocalypse weapon. Since that episode premiered, I have been asked a lot of what if questions. For example, what if I only own an old revolver? Another subscriber told me they have a Viking axe and questioned their own survivability. Keeping in mind all the countless variables that go into a discussion like this, one being that I'm an idiot and this is still a fictional scenario. For now, I say we take some time to talk about an alternative list of old school semi-practical but widely available weapons that you may already have at your disposal. While I still believe the weapons discussed in episode 10 are more ideal for most situations, what if you woke up tomorrow, all your neighbors were flesh-eating zombies, and all you had were the antiquated hand-me-down weapons of your grandfather? First on the list, I'd like to talk about your grandpa's lever-action rifle. Chances are it's set up to be an old brush gun chambered in 30-30 or 45-70 government, with a forward-mounted scout scope or iron sights. In the 1800s, these weapons were the equivalent of what most people would consider an assault rifle, due to the relatively high rate of fire. Side note, I don't use the phrase assault rifle, come at me bro. And though in modern terms a lever-action rifle is quite literally antiquated, it still kills. 30-30 rounds are frequently used in thick brush to take down deer. Likewise, the 45-70 is used by Alaskan bush pilots and brush hunters against grizzly and Kodiak bears. So the pros, depending on the caliber and the length of the magazine tube, you will have a repeating rifle with major knockdown power to harvest food and defend yourself against those frickin' zombie bears. Due to the mass of the projectile of a 30-30 or 45-70, brush deflection shouldn't be as much of a concern when trying to land that headshot on a zombie wandering around in a patch of woods. In this aspect, the lever-action rifle can have a major advantage over two of the guns mentioned in episode 10, the AR-15 and 22 LR rifles. Brush deflection is a serious concern when using a 22 caliber projectile. If you're rocking a Marlin 1895 SPL like I have, or the even more compact Marlin Trapper, you'll have the promise of insane power and reliability in a very small and relatively lightweight package. If you have a stainless variant of any lever rifle, you will most likely experience even greater reliability and longevity since the risk of corrosion is dramatically decreased. The cons. With great knockdown power comes great added weight. Much like the discussion of using a tactical 12 gauge as a zombie gun, the brush gun uses a heavy bullet. And this is directly connected with the other major con, the capacity of the gun and how much ammo you will feasibly be able to carry in your daily routines, like farming your land or in your travels while hunting or fleeing an area. Your capacity in the gun will probably be somewhere between 6 to 7 rounds, maybe more, maybe less. I recommend getting a leather cartridge cuff like I have on my Marlin. It allows me to hold an extra 6 rounds on the stock. Another essential accessory is a comfortable sling, assuring the weapon is on you and accessible at all times. Check out Mason Leather in Plano, Texas. He does amazing work. Another con is reload time. If your lever gun doesn't have a side loading gate, then forget about it. You're not reloading during a zombie attack unless you're like Obi-Wan Kenobi and you have the high ground. Remember, that's probably only going to be around 6 shots before it's time to feed the machine. And even with a side loading gate, I'd wager that most people can reload a 12 gauge shotgun faster than a lever rifle, and the shotgun platform is infamous for its slow reload handicap. Now, I'm not trying to imply that there aren't lever guns chambered in different calibers like 357 Magnum with higher capacities. I'm simply saying that in my personal experience, the lever guns I've seen in people's gun cabinets, including my own, have been mostly big bore brush guns and deer rifles with bigger projectiles and smaller capacities. In a nutshell, if you're only wielding a lever gun, you're going to have to be smart about how, when, and where you travel. Your survival skills will have to be used in conjunction with your weapon. The spray and pray method will not be a viable option for you. But survival is not impossible, and I'd never discount a person solely based on the weapon they were carrying in the apocalypse. Well, almost never. Number 2, a good old-fashioned 6-shooter. Hey, it worked for Rick Grimes, didn't it? And coincidentally, my recommendation would be a revolver chambered in 357 Magnum. These things are everywhere. My personal recommendation would be a tried and true Smith & Wesson, but Rick's Colt Python is arguably even more historically iconic. Pros. The pros of a revolver are few, but they are really compelling. Reliability is of the utmost importance. When you pull the trigger, a quality revolver is going to go bang every time, and that's something you can't say about every semi-auto pistol. Another advantage in this specific case is that a revolver chambered in 357 Magnum can also fire 38 special ammo. That greatly increases your chances of scavenging usable ammunition for your weapon. And if you happen to own a lever gun chambered in 357 Magnum, you now have a reliable weapon combination that shares caliber commonality. And 357 Magnum is no slouch. It delivers plenty of power to take down small deer for food, and probably even some bears. Another pro is the simplicity of the weapon makes the revolver not only reliable but accurate. Less moving parts equals more accuracy. The cons include excruciatingly slow reloads, and a 6-shot capacity, making this weapon extremely challenging to master. Jerry Michalik is one such master and would absolutely dominate the zombies in the apocalypse with a revolver. But Jerry is a rarity. However, he is an excellent example of why it is important not to discount any individual wielding a seemingly inferior weapon. The last notable cons, in my opinion, are the recoil and the weight. Revolvers tend to be heavier than semi-autos, especially the polymer variety like Glocks. Here comes the double-edged sword of not having many moving parts. Since there's no reciprocating mass to absorb the recoil in a revolver, your wrist takes all that energy. While most people would argue that you'll run out of ammo before your wrists start to hurt, it's still something to consider, especially for females. Don't forget a good holster for your revolver to keep it by your side at all times, and maybe a gun belt to hold extra cartridges. You're gonna need them. Number 3. Archery and melee, the quiet combo. This category has been the most popular what if category, and it's honestly the one that I dread discussing the most. There are several reasons for this, but mostly it boils down to my perception of reality. As for melee, if I can help it, I will always pick a ranged weapon over a melee weapon. It doesn't matter if I'm fighting an armed burglar, a zombie, or a frickin' bear. The point being, I want as much distance between myself and the thing that's trying to kill me as possible. If I can avoid a fight or confrontation, I will, especially considering medical supplies will be limited in the apocalypse. And what kind of zombies are we dealing with? Does their blood infect you? If so, count me out of the melee category. I suppose you can use a throwable weapon like an axe or a tomahawk if you're skilled enough, but you'll still have to retrieve the weapon covered in potentially infectious blood. Sure, a baseball bat or a club might crack zombie skulls, but how many before you tire out? I played baseball for several years, and a person can get easily winded at a single batting practice. Now imagine doing that all day, forever. My experience with swords is extremely limited. I spent some time using a katana, but it wasn't heat treated properly and the blade broke. Which brings up another concern I have about people using edged weapons in general. The metallurgy and heat treat of your weapon is crucial, and I'd wager that most people that own a sword simply have it for decorative purposes and know little to nothing of the steel composition or Rockwell hardness. But if you are of the mind that guns just aren't for you, I recommend an archery melee combo at the very least. Both are relatively quiet compared to the sound of a projectile breaking the sound barrier, but neither are silent. Contrary to what Hollywood would have you believe, there's a thud when using a compound bow or a crossbow. There's grunting, struggling, and sometimes screaming when using a melee weapon. Your arrows or crossbow bolts are reusable, so that's a plus, but they too have a lifespan. They won't last forever and will be more prone to shattering after each use. Again, is the blood of a zombie infectious? It will certainly be all over your arrows. Which brings me to my next point. How many arrows can you shoot into a horde of zombies before they get to you? And even if you are able to hit every single one, were they all headshots? Are you good at calculating distance, wind speed, and declination under pressure? In a nutshell, what I'm saying is that large melee weapons should be a last resort, and in almost every case would be impractical added weight. You'd be better off carrying a lightweight knife to use for utility purposes and as a last-ditch backup weapon if absolutely necessary. And archery is a subpar substitute for a firearm in almost every case that I can think of, but again, I'm an idiot and this is totally fictional for now. So that's gonna do it for tonight, boils and ghouls. I just want to thank each and every one of you for listening and supporting this channel. I appreciate everyone who's read my book. What an honor it is to be a small part of your lives. Thank you so much, and have a happy Halloween. If you've ever almost shit your pants during an episode of Into the Hollow radio show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.